And like a lot of our, properties have appreciated a lot in value.
I'm thinking about it, she only put 20% down when she bought it too. So
Yeah.
she only put what, like 50 grand?
So
yeah.
More than that. But like the benefit is also leverage. You can borrow money and not put in the whole purchase price of a home. So there's just like a lot of benefits to real estate that it's like a good idea, in my opinion, to like add it in your portfolio.
Yeah! What's up, everybody? Your life alchemist, your dragon. Welcome to Alchemize Life. I'm your host, Justin David Carl. This is a show where I seek out and share expertise, wisdom, and thought leadership in all domains with the mission of empowering and inspiring you to proactively design and truly live a life worth living. We're all in this together, and when we do the work together, we go so much farther, so much faster, and have so much more fun. Without further ado, let's dig into this episode and alchemize life. Sharon and Sean, thank you so much for joining me for today's show. I am so in love with your content, all the content you create about, money and financial independence and real estate, I'm on Instagram. I know you guys are huge on TikTok too, but I couldn't think of two better guests to really, dive deep into all things kind of like money and work related and like actually starting to create like freedom and passion and fun and entertainment on a subject that is, sometimes really scary for people to look at. So quick introduction for those who are unfamiliar with Sharon and Sean. So Sharon Tseung and Sean Pan, they're real estate investors. They are multimillionaires. They are content creators around all things money, and it's damn good content. Like if you haven't checked it out, go watch it. You'll laugh, you'll learn, and you'll come away a richer person. So without further ado, I would love to dig into your origin story. So I'm based in the San Francisco Bay Area. I still work in, SF Bay Area tech, and I know you both recently moved out of the Bay into, I believe, Dallas, Texas, if I have it right. And, take us back. You're both like, working in Silicon Valley. What were you doing? And, start to tell us a little bit of your genesis.
Yeah, sure. So we were both actually from the Bay Area. We didn't know each other until we were, late into our adulthood, but we actually grew apart just 10 minutes away from each other. It's pretty funny. Yeah, both in the South Bay. Went to school, got good grades, went to college at UCLA. Came back to the Bay Area because I had a job opportunity in a defense contracting company and worked as an engineer for a while, but didn't really love my job. Didn't see myself working there till retirement. I saw a lot of other coworkers who were my dad's age who were not happy with where they were financially and the decisions they made. And so I realized that to be happy, you have to make your own, you just make your own path. And so that's why I started getting into the FIRE movement, started learning about financial independence, and that's where we are today.
Yeah, for me, so back in 2014, I actually traveled solo for a month in Europe, and it kind of opened my eyes to a lot of the life I was missing out on. And it actually made me study like real estate investing more. And then I came across like online side hustles, and that's what I ended up pursuing a lot. So I essentially quit my job and traveled the world for 2 years while building passive income streams through like Etsy, Amazon, blogging, a lot of different ones. And I was just trying to create a life for myself that allowed me to be financially free and location independent so that I could see the world and do the things that I loved. So that was kind of my story. I did invest in real estate in 2013 before, and then I think we're going a lot heavier now with real estate as well as with our content creation. We've had a lot of fulfillment just teaching people how to build passive income, become financially free, and design their best lives. I know that you're trying to help others do that as well. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit, like, what was it like working in the Bay Area? Like Sharon, were you at like tech companies? Like what type of, like, how was that for you? And like, before you went traveling, how did you feel about your life, and how did you actually get the courage to actually up and start to travel for 2 years?
Yeah, I was in marketing for like 10 years or so. So, yeah, I mean, when I first got my first full-time job, I remember I was just like 2 weeks after, I was like, "Oh, is this going to be the rest of my life?" Just going to the office, seeing the four walls every day and just being like same commute every day, and I'm just like, I want something more. And that I had that realization in 2012, but I didn't really do too much with it until really seeing the world in 2014,
Mm-hmm.
and just studying kind of obsessively just about like passive income streams, building financial freedom. Came across the FIRE movement, came across like the term the digital nomad, where people were living location independently while making income from the comforts of their laptops. So that was kind of the journey. I was like, already within the first 2 weeks, I was like, oh my gosh, is this going to be the rest of my life? And then, yeah, just like building passive income streams and then seeing the world. I actually came back to a full time position, which I got laid off from yesterday.
Wow.
So now I'm pretty much just like retired from the 9 to 5 now and kind of pursuing the things that we love.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny too because the whole time you're like, this is gonna be my last job. We're very fortunate in the sense that it doesn't matter. Like we're good. So now she has more time to do what she wants to do. So
Why did
yeah, fun.
you hold on to that job for so long? Like, obviously, I assume that it's been a couple years that you probably didn't need it. Is that true, or is it?
Yeah. So my other stuff have like surpassed the 6 figure salary that I had with the position, but it was a, I would say, a chill job, and I was like learning from it. I was enjoying it, so I figured why not stay in until, you know, if I ever was like, oh, I don't really like this job anymore, I could just leave. I had that freedom, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have like any push that I wanted to just like leave right away. So that was kind of why I stayed in it for the amount of time I did. And when I came back from, traveling and building passive income, I remember having thoughts like, just chasing an income number is actually not really fulfilling. Like I wanted to create impact. I wanted to learn a lot more and build something. So that's why I came back. I wanted to grow my skills in marketing with a job. And then I built the personal brand. And that was really like the impactful fulfillment part that I was like missing out on.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that your work in the Bay, and your work, at your most recent job, actually kind of helped you figure out your own marketing for your personal brand?
I think I learned a lot. It's kind of in a different space too, because I learned a lot about like partnerships and about even like filming TV commercials and different things in marketing, where like I also did learn certain things that I feel like I took with my personal brand. But I think I actually learned a lot more with my personal brand in terms of marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and growing something from nothing to
I
what it
mean,
is now.
you also learned a lot about what not to do with marketing, right? Like when we're doing our own things, we have a limited budget, but for bigger companies, they have a larger budget. And with a larger budget, sometimes you can try a lot of different things that don't actually work out.
Hmm.
So you can kind of try on someone
Exactly.
else's budget, basically.
Yeah, I learned what not to do as
Yeah,
well.
that's, I mean, honestly, I think just in life in general, learning what not to do and also what you don't like to do is so critical to actually like getting to the life that you really love. All right, Sean. So back to you. So you're working at a defense company, doing engineering, and then you transition out of that. Like, what do you go to? How did you make that decision? Did it happen overnight? Like, how long were you working as an engineer before you finally like, okay, I need to change it up?
Yeah, great question. So I worked as an engineer for maybe 7 years.
Okay.
Um,
You made it
the cool
sound
thing,
like it was like a year, but you
oh no, I
slogged
was there
through
for a while.
7.
But the
Wow.
thing
Okay.
is, it's kind of like when you realize that you need to go, at least you can start making the plans, right? So I set myself up so that when I left, it's not just like an impulsive decision to leave without any savings. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I knew I was going to leave at a certain point, and I actually had this contract that was going to end in 3 years. So I had 3 years to prepare myself, make
Wow.
savings, make investments. Yeah, so then I actually left engineering in 2019, and then I kind of went kind of where she is at, like full time in like content or to just invest full time. But after a while, I was actually just referring a lot of business to a lending company that I use personally.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, you're already doing all this work. Why not just work for us? And so that's kind of how I now work as a lender. So, I left that full time job as an engineer. I'm now working, again, quote unquote, full time for a lending company, doing loans for other real estate investors. So,
Yeah.
kind of worked really nicely because all of our content is for real estate investors. So now they just call me for their loans.
That's amazing. So you've actually, and just to give myself and the audience a sense, like how much time are you like and energy are you spending kind of, doing this lending job? Like, is it a full-time 40 hours a week? Are you getting crushed? Is it like part-time? Like, help me
It's
understand.
interesting. So initially, it was very much more like an affiliate kind of role where I would just pass on leads.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started getting a lot more volume and started handling the files myself. So
Mm-hmm.
now it does take a lot more time. We're in the process of building the team out to get more assistants to help us out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's actually a full-time position now. Not like hourly, like I don't have to clock in and clock out at a certain time, but it's more like dealing with clients,
Yeah.
calling them, making sure that they understand their loans are safe and all that stuff.
Yeah. You have a certain amount of work that needs to get done, and as long as you get it done, that's fine. Some weeks is more, some weeks is less. Is that about right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I want to ask you when they're going to fire you. It
I
sounds.
produce too much, so it's going to be hard.
What's
Knock
that?
on wood. I produce too much.
Yeah, that's
Of
the
being in
thing
business.
about becoming a linchpin to any business, and it sounds like that's what you are. Like where they can't let you go because you make them too much money. That's awesome. All right, so 7 years for you, and definitely it sounds for Sharon. We're looking at 7 or 8 years kind of for you before, I mean, like, I know you've been able to leave for a long time, but it finally just kind of, the universe conspired to make it happen. I saw your recent post about, really trying to figure out what you're going to do with all this newfound free time. Do you have any thoughts about that? Because, a lot of times people, they chase financial independence so hard that they don't even think about what they're gonna do once they kind of like achieve it and like leave their job and have all this free time, and they think like, I'm just gonna sit on a beach and like chill forever. But I think most people that have the tenacity and the discipline to go after something like financial independence, they aren't people who are just gonna like sit around and do nothing for a long time. They might do it for a couple weeks or even a few months, but after that, they're going to want to do something with their life. So I'm just curious, Sharon, you're at a total inflection point. Like, where are you going? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like in 2018 when I came back I was in Chiang Mai for like maybe 4 months or so, Chiang Mai, Thailand. And when I was there, like there were a lot of digital nomads who were kind of chilling, who were just like, I just want like minimal income to cover my minimal expenses and like I don't want to do anything. And I remember being around that energy and was feeling like, there's so much for me to learn and like create that I felt like I needed to come back and like put in more effort into like finding my purpose as well as like learning and building. So I think like what you mentioned about there's a lot of people who realize that after retirement that they need something more. So yeah, it's an interesting point right now for me. Now it's kind of like there's nothing holding me back. Like there's no excuse to, do big things. And I did feel like my job was a little bit of a crutch where now I'm like, you know what, I guess I have to go for it. It's a little bit scary, but there's a lot that, I can do with this freedom. So I did kind of write down like some of my goals the other day, even before the layoff and everything like that. I was just thinking, what do I truly want? And I think right now, a lot of the things that we're working on are really purposeful. So I'm glad because I feel like I have things that I want to do. So I want to get better at real estate and like work on a lot of interesting projects, get into more short-term rentals, buying bigger multifamily properties, possibly doing some flipping and wholesaling, more active real estate. In terms of the personal brand, there's a lot of things like we want to do in terms of creating new products like books and courses and stuff like that, as well as opening maybe like a private membership group because I know a lot of people have been wanting to get our time like more one-on-one where we can talk to them live.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of different things like that I know that we're going to be working on. So pretty excited for that.
Hey there, just a few words about the incredible show sponsors for today's episode, and then we'll dig right back in. Today's show is brought to you by Veg Nutrition. Live better. So I'm actually a veg elite athlete, and before I joined the team, I spent months doing my due diligence to make sure that the company was vision, mission, and value aligned with me, my values, my mission, my vision, and my lifestyle. I got to know the owners super well. I even got to know the person who formulates all the products, and they passed with flying colors. So I couldn't be more excited to represent a company that I feel so aligned with. And I want to tell you about two of my favorite products. The first is the veg pre-workout. So when I first went vegan, or mostly vegan, the last thing for me to go fully vegan was finding a vegan pre-workout that gave me the focus, the energy, and the power that I was looking for. And I can tell you, this is the best pre-workout that I've ever had. It gives me incredible focus and energy. And what's probably the best is it leaves me with no crash after I take it, which is great. And the flavors are so freaking good. There's literally peach mango and a Patriot Pop that tastes like, the firecracker popsicles, cherry lemon lime flavor. They're literally so good that I can dry scoop them. And they just released a watermelon flavor for just in time for summer, and it's incredible. So that's the first product. The second product is arguably also my favorite, and that's the plant protein. Comes in 3 incredible flavors: chocolate peanut butter, vanilla ice cream, and cold brew coffee. Yep, you heard me. Cold brew coffee flavor. It tastes incredible, all 3 flavors. 25 grams of protein, fully organic, incredible ingredients, heavy metal tested, and it is my go-to post-workout. Make sure that I'm recovering and refueling and giving my muscles the protein that they need to rebuild for that next workout. So go to vegnutrition.com/dragon and try their full line of supplements, and you'll get 15% off. Or you can just use Dragon at checkout and you'll get 15% off. So that's vegnutrition.com/dragon to get 15% off. Veg Nutrition, live better. That's great. Well, really just awesome to witness kind of your inflection and, the amount of, stuff that you've accomplished both with your financial status as well as your personal brand, both of you, while working is crazy. So like, it'll be really fun to watch you like really blossom over the next, few months and couple years. So I'm really excited for you, Sharon. I think you got a divine blessing yesterday. So you're about to step into the light in a way that you are ready for. So congratulations. All right. So when did you guys both discover kind of this whole like passive income, financial independence? Where they're like, I feel like everyone kind of has their like aha moment. Like for me, like my audience has probably heard it before, but like I heard Mr. Money Mustache on the Tim Ferriss podcast, and I was like in $40,000 in debt, and like I was like starting to clean things up, and I went and like read his blog. And then I read the post about, the the one about like, if you get your savings rate to like X, like you can get to a point of retirement or like all work optional in X years. And I was like, what? Like if I had understood this when I was like making all this money in Hollywood nightlife, like I would be like a millionaire. I'd definitely be a decamillionaire by now. And I was just that, I read that. And so then I went on this like crazy, like I'm gonna be hardcore frugal for 2 years well, I thought forever. Now I'm not frugal anymore. But for 2 years, I went like crazy frugal. And then I didn't just go frugal. I was like, I'm going to earn as much freaking money as possible. And that was kind of like the catalyst for me, was that I think it's called the Simple Math article. I'll link to it in the show notes. I'm sorry, I don't remember it. But were there any of those kind of like, I don't know, a book or a blog or a podcast that you guys read and you're like, all right, I'm going in a different direction? Can you share?
Yeah. So first of all, like we did this independently before we met each other.
That's
because
right.
we didn't meet each other until we were later in life, and that's actually what kind of made us interested in each other. That we were like so different from everyone else, right? I remember in like 2011, I think I was still an intern at a defense company, and again, sitting in that office, seeing people my dad's age who were not satisfied with their financial position, and I came across this book called The Millionaire Teacher. So the premise was interesting. This guy was making like $40,000 a year as a teacher, and yet he's able to become a millionaire through investing. And that opened my eyes too, because my parents were making decent salaries as engineers or as real estate agents, and I never heard of them being a millionaire before, so I didn't think it was possible. That book opened my eyes, and then it led me to this, obsessive train of consuming more and more information about financial independence and freedom, right? So then you learn more about, okay, what businesses to start and which ones are most consistent. That eventually led me to real estate. And then now real estate, we have 32 units in our portfolio. These are all creating passive income. Whether we decide to continue working or not, that passive income will continue being there.
Yeah, for me, I think I was like, my parents taught me to be financially savvy throughout my life. So I've always had that. But in terms of like passive income, I feel like that was more in 2014 and 2015 was when I learned about it. And it was probably from Rich Dad Poor Dad, 4 Hour Work Week. I think everyone always says those, two books. But I was coming across articles like people selling Kindle books and making like 40 grand a month and like passively from, just selling these books. And then coming across people who make a bunch from blogging. And then I was like, oh, like people can make passive income, cover their expenses so they can just, do whatever they want the rest of their lives. So that's like those two books, as well as this blog called The Digital Nomad Wannabe, which made me come across the term digital nomading. I had no idea people were traveling the world and like making a living on their laptops and just like doing whatever they wanted. Those three things that were like probably pivotal books and blogs for me. In terms of like the FIRE movement and, achieving a certain net worth, the 4% rule and all of that, that actually came later in my journey, but I was already like thinking in terms of passive income around, 2015 or so. So that was kind of my journey with that.
Because, so the article is the shockingly simple math behind early retirement. And I just want to clarify for the audience, and I think you two may be similar. I don't like the FIRE acronym, like financial independence, retire early, because like I love to work. Like I just don't want to work a lot. Like as long as I'm doing work that I like is fun and exciting, like I want to work because, I feel like progress is one of the few things that like really brings lasting happiness, and working on things that like we are passionate about is like a great way to, have a really happy and fulfilling life. And some people want to work, 3 or 4 hours a day, 3 to 4 days a week. Some people want to work, 30 or 40 hours a week. There's no right or wrong way, but I think there's very few people that can be happy long-term not working at all. It's great to take a couple months off or whatever. But when did you like formalize like, okay, I have an understanding of what financial independence is, and like what helped you like kind of crystallize that understanding of like what it meant to actually be financially independent?
Well, to me, like I always just thought if you had passive income coming in that was covering your expenses, you're pretty much good to go. If you have a certain nest egg and everything's covered and you're growing your net worth, which was kind of what I was doing. Like while I was traveling, because I built those passive income streams, it was covering my expenses and I was saving and investing that money and I was, growing my nest egg. So I guess I didn't really learn about the 4% rule and all that stuff till later, but I always had in my mind that, if I had those expenses taken care of with cash flow, like I'm pretty much good to go. And if I don't spend that much anyway, I'm going to be able to achieve that pretty easily. While I was traveling, I was spending $1,400 a month total, like on everything,
compared
flights,
to
accommodations, entertainment.
two to probably 3 to 10 times that in the Bay.
Yeah, I was like, if I leave and travel the world, it's actually kind of financially responsible in a way because the Bay, it's so much more expensive if I move to the city or something like that. So, if I was covering that amount plus saving a lot more and then like investing that, I was technically like financially free and I could just travel the world forever. So that was kind of my mindset, but I didn't really think in terms of like net worth yet and growing that to meet like a 4% rule and all that stuff till later. I think I just came across more blogs and stuff like that was talking about FIRE movement, but it just kind of added to like, oh, we already have passive cash flow from real estate and online side hustles. And now I'm growing my net worth that I can just keep reinvesting. So it just creates even more financial freedom, I guess.
Even to that point, like you're saying that it's like quote unquote more financially responsible to leave. Mm-hmm. We did that, right? I have a property in the Bay Area. We kept it. We converted it to a long or midterm Airbnb, and we live in Dallas now. So that one property is now paying for the mortgage for both that property in the Bay Area and this property here in Dallas. That's why we could just leave our jobs right now, have no income from outside sources, and be cool because our expenses are covered already.
Yeah, reduce those living expenses, then it's like you don't need that much cash flow to even cover that.
Yeah, and then like you say, with the FIRE movement, we're not really going to retire. It's just that you only work on the things you want to work on. You're not forced to do like a job you don't want to do. You're not forced to like clock in and clock out.
Yeah, I think that like
work on your own projects.
Yeah, like retiring to me, it's like I guess it's like retiring from the 9 to 5 is kind of my definition. It's like, oh, you have the option to leave if you want to. And then just like work on the stuff you want to do.
Yeah. The way I think about it is like I'm financially independent. Therefore, all paid work, and really all work, but especially all paid work is optional. Like I can do it if I want. I don't have to do it if I don't want. And I think as long as I'm having fun and interested in doing, work that pays money, that is fun. Why not? Like, I want to make more money. Once I hit multimillionaire status, I was like, well, I want to be a decamillionaire now. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things I think like a lot of FI people are achievers and maybe overachievers. And so it's like, of course you hit one threshold and then you want to go to the next. But I'm kind of like dealing with this really interesting inflection point in my own life. And I want to talk to the two of you about it because you already kind of mentioned it. And that's frugality. So, I went through 2 years where I was like ultra frugal. I like brought all my expenses down. Like I sold the Range Rover, got a Prius, like, make sure that I had like an insanely low rent amount, still an okay place, but like nothing that I was like, proud to like show off my friends. Like most of my friends and stuff own houses now and I'm still renting, but like I've talked to so many people, they have literally like 3 to 4 months of runway, like before the house of cards falls down. And like, I don't have to ever work again in my life. So now for me is like, I want to scale up to an even greater, total like net worth so that I can afford to live at an even higher lifestyle, but still be completely free. So like, if like I stopped earning any money, like I wouldn't have to like, oh my God, I have to go work. So, listening to your podcast on the FI show, like I know you guys, like I believe you drive a Toyota Camry and, you are pretty frugal in some ways and then not so frugal in other ways. So let's talk a little about frugality. Is that cool?
Sure. So first of all, it's a Corolla. It's a little bit less nice than a Camry. Yeah. So I guess the concept is we are okay with spending on things that we like, and then we just don't spend on things that we don't care about. Growing up, my mom drove like an Nissan Sentra. She had a Corolla. I drove her Corolla after she got rid of hers. Her car at home is like a used Nissan Sentra as well. So I think it's like, I don't ever feel limited in what we could spend though, right? I don't feel like, oh my God, no, we're staying on a budget. To be real, I don't think we have a budget. We just spend on what we spend on. It's just that the things that we buy are not that expensive.
Can I ask how old you two are? Is that okay?
I'm 32.
32?
I'm 31.
Okay.
Yeah. So, sorry. So yeah, again, we don't spend, or I don't feel limited in what we spend. You know, like we went to Six Flags, we got the season pass and the flash pass because I'm not trying to wait in line in the hot Texas sun, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna splurge on that. But we don't really buy luxury clothes. You know, like this shirt's from a conference. You know, it's free. This hat's from a conference too, free.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, I would say it's just like for our spending, it just matches like our values, and I think we value experiences over like things. So like, I don't think we've ever had a passion for like a nice car
or jewelry.
Yeah, to me, like my engagement ring, I like lost it like a few months after. With cars, I'm scared to like, you know, have an expensive one. So then yeah, exactly. And then I have more to worry about. So like with the ring, for example, I was like pretty sad when I lost it. And I'm like, you know what? It's not even worth having super expensive things, and I have just more to think about. Whereas like with travel, for example, we went to like Mexico, all around Europe. We went to Phoenix, Vegas, like all in like the last
2 months.
2 months, and we're going to New York next week. Like we've been traveling a lot, so it's like those things like we enjoy, and we're okay with spending on that. We like attending conferences. We'll spend on that. So I think it's just whatever aligns with like your values, then it's okay to like, you know, spend. So
yeah, no, I think that's an incredible point. Is as long as it's aligned with your values, that's great. You know, so for me, like, you know, eating like all organic food, like way more expensive than like just buying whatever. Like, I don't care. I don't even look at my grocery bill. Like, I'm just like, I want to eat the best, like, you know, whatever I'm attracted to that's organic and like as healthful as possible, because like health is true wealth. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. And you know, one of the things I've started doing recently, prior to the frugality craze that I went through, like I get like a couple massages a month, like time massage. And over the last like year or so, I'm like, okay, like I'm at a level where I can get a couple time massages a month, and like now I invest in that because like that for me, like my well-being is really important to me. But that's aligned with my values, right? Because like if well-being is one of my core values, like it would make sense for me to make that quote unquote investment in my well-being. And the other one I've been thinking about, and I'm trying to like suss out if it's ego or if it's values. And this is why it's like I'm like harping on this, is like, so I have a Prius, which is like more green. So like I'm vegan, and I'm, you know, first and foremost for like health and fitness reasons, but like I also want to be a better steward of the environment. So like I want to go fully electric, and I keep asking myself, like, I can easily get a Model 3, but like, is that my ego or is that my values wanting to go fully electric? Do you know what I mean? Because I could get like a Leaf and it's way less, but there's also this part of me that's like, well, I've got to a certain level, like I deserve it, right? Like there's a part of me that wants to like feel and look cool still, you know, and I'm like partially ashamed to admit that. But
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, a Model 3 isn't like, it's not like super crazy, right? You're not getting like a crazy Lamborghini with no practical utility. Like you said, it's good for the environment, has self-driving capabilities to it.
I also want to add that I kind of like that struggle. Like I've kind of like, it's something I think about a lot. And it was kind of like for when I got laid off yesterday, I was thinking about, you know, big goals and stuff. Is it for my ego or is it what I actually truly want? And that's like what I was trying to define like the few days ago with my goals of like, what do I actually want? What is it that, you know, like it's not for looks to impress people in terms of like the big achievements. It's like what I actually want. So, I mean, I struggle with it too. So I totally understand where you're coming from. So.
I'm going to say, I think you're at a good place. You can afford the Model 3.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good exercise to go through, right? I think it says something about both or all of us that we're actually questioning. Like, we're not just like, okay, I'm just going to like, I want the Model 3. I'm going to go buy the Model 3. It's like, wait a minute. Like, does this goal align with my values truly and like my mission and what I'm trying to like do in the world? Or is this just like my ego trying to get like love, right? Because like we all think, like someone made this incredible, my good friend, he made this comment that no one is actually looking at the person in the car. They're looking at the car, imagining themselves in the car.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, right? Because like we all like, oh, I'll be so cool when I have that car or whatever it is, but no one is looking at the person. Like, right? Yeah. Isn't that wild? Like I never thought about it at that level until he said that. So I'm curious for you, Sharon, like as you're kind of like going through these goals, like how are you having that conversation with your, you know, your ego versus your goals? Like is there any particular conversation tracks you're having, any exercises or resources? And this is, you know, super selfish for myself, but I know so many people struggle with this. Like, am I just doing like what ego and society is telling me to do? Like, I should be this successful and pursue this thing. Like they should on themselves, I should on myself. Or like, is this really what I want to do? Am I following my joy? Am I following my bliss, my excitement? So I'm curious if you don't, it's okay. But I'm just like, I know we're all struggling with this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, recently we went to like a bunch of conferences where people are doing like crazy, like exciting things. And I think it's easy to get that shiny object syndrome where like people are doing, oh, this. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that. And then I keep doing that. And then I like took a step back and I'm like, wait, why do I want to chase all these different things? Do I want more units? For example, I think a lot of real estate investors are like, oh, I should get like 700 units or whatever. And I'm like, do I actually care for that? Or is it like just an ego thing or whatever?
Yeah.
So I think it's just like a question you ask yourself, like to see if it aligns. And then that, like, for example, in that scenario, I stepped back and I was like, wait, I'm more interested in Airbnbs, owning them around the world. Like, I think it'd be fun to travel to the different ones. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in, you know, making homes beautiful and learning the process of like building a home. Like that excites me. And I just tap back into like, what is my passion? And I think my passion is like creating. So like it could be businesses, it could be real estate, it could be even making music. So I used to like sing and stuff and produce my own songs. So just kind of tapping back into that question. And also I had written a bucket list like 6 years ago. So then, or 7 years ago maybe. And then I like looked at it again and I just kind of reflected to myself which ones align with who I am now, and then like just, you know, questioning in that sense. I guess that just helped me a lot too, to review my past self before all this stuff. So
yeah. How about you, Sean? Do you face any of this kind of like ego versus, you know, value alignment challenges, or you just like cool as a cucumber?
It's kind of hard to say. I don't do as much self-reflection as I would like to. And I think maybe one of the big things is, you know, the question of what is enough? When do you really stop anything for any monetary value, right? When do you go full on passions and like only do things because you think it's a, you know, a good cause for the world or for yourself? I haven't really gotten to that point yet, you know, but I guess those are the things that we think about sometimes.
Yeah. That's like a huge question, I think, for like people in the FIRE movement and everything like that. What is enough is such a like crucial question to ask yourself, because it's like if you keep chasing and you do stuff for ego, then like you always feel like you're never enough because you keep wanting more and more.
Because the goalpost keeps moving.
I mean, thinking about it, like I think, you know, growing up, I thought if I had just $500,000, I'm done, right? I'm set for life.
Yeah.
Past that point, dude, I don't feel like I'm done. Right, I feel like, okay, we could have a kid, we could have, you know, this and that.
Yeah.
So these are the things that we think about, and yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just important to ask yourself what's enough, and are you doing this for yourself or not? So.
Yeah.
Do you ever have those questions to yourself?
Yeah, but what I've kind of come to, it goes back to the like, if I'm having fun and working on stuff that is fun for me, why not make money from it, right? As long as it's like value, vision, and mission alignment. Like that's why I launched my coaching program, is because like I had been coaching people like for free and for fun around money and fitness like for years, like just like little friends and mentees and stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, like, why don't I turn this into a business? Like, then I can actually reach more people and I can make more money, and it's like a win-win. It's like a virtuous circle, right? Like, as I serve others, I serve myself. And so like, I'm like, okay, yeah, I do. Like, there's a part of me, like, so I grew up in, money was really tight growing up. So, like, I dreamed of being a millionaire, of course, and a multimillionaire. And then after reaching that, it's like, well, I want to dream bigger. And as long as I'm not just chasing the money, but instead I'm trying to live my mission, my vision, and values, why not go after that next goal? Because goals are really motivating, right? Like, and I think, Sharon, you just really called it out. It's like, you kind of have to do this like back and forth checking. Like, am I value aligned or not? Like with this, or is this just like some like crazy ego goal that like I need to like slap down and like get back to my true self? So that's kind of my response is like, what is that term? Like, there's a term for it. Some of my 5 friends who work at like Google and make insane amounts of money know what it is, where like sometimes the best thing that you can do is just like make more money, because then you can like give more money to the things that are like, important to you. Yeah. But like, if you were to go do those things, you would suck at them, because like that's not your like core competency. Like your core competency is like building the next like best like software for Google. So like just go like crush that, and then you can take care of your family and take care of the endeavors that are important to you. So at some point I'll remember what that term is. So that's kind of how I think about it. A really great question, Sean. Yeah. I want to know how you two met. We didn't
algorithms.
The algorithms.
The algorithms.
Oh, yes.
So we met through a dating app, basically.
Oh, cool.
We were matched. And it was cool because I remember seeing her profile and I was like, oh, okay, she's cute. You look down the description. She's like, oh, I'm into the FIRE movement, into like these kind of things. And I was like, oh, wow, that's what I'm into as well.
That's crazy. So people actually on the dating apps like write out that they're like into FI and stuff now?
So I was an engineer, right? But in the Bay Area, a lot of the Asian guys there are also engineers. So I had to stand out from the crowd. I wrote that I'm a real estate investor. Okay?
Yeah.
Because I was.
Yeah.
And that piqued her interest. So she's like, okay, let's meet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's normal to write that stuff, but like it's probably what stood out for both of us, and we connected on that interest.
Most people say they like hiking and brunch or whatever.
Yeah, brunch.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, me and my wife built our relationship hiking, so that's cool that you did that. How long have the two of you been together now?
3.5.
Yeah,
okay.
3.5 years.
I heard you mention kids. You guys aren't even engaged yet. You can't be talking about kids yet. Come on.
We got married, actually.
Oh, you did?
Yes, we're married. We got married in December.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't hear that in Cody's podcast. So, and you guys never said wife or husband or marriage. And I was like, are these two just like together and they're not married? And they're like, so that was one of my other questions. Like, is your money separate or combined?
I mean, it was separate. We combined them now. So
okay.
We just pulled everything together.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we still have our bank accounts and we kind of contribute to a joint, and then we just pay everything with the joint, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But you still kind of have like your own investments each like in your own names, and you kind of like so technically they're like, apart, but like
I would say like the stock stuff, because it's already our accounts, they're just stuck there in accounts. We also have our own bank accounts that we were getting our paychecks from our jobs from into those accounts. And then, like you said, we contribute to a joint account for all of the mutual things like food purchases or like monthly bills. And then before, we did have the real estate in separate names, but because of like asset protection purposes, we did put them into different like entities, like LLCs and trusts.
Awesome.
Yeah. So also like we recently just kind of calculated our combined net worth and all that stuff. So I think we consider all of it just like a team, like they're basically combined, but we didn't like do the work of moving all the funds over. I don't think it's like that necessary. So
Hey there, just a few words about the incredible show sponsors for today's episode, and then we'll dig right back in. This show is brought to you by Feel Free from Botanic Tonics. This product is unlike anything I've ever had before. No joke. It's made with kava root and other ancient plants, and just half a shot gives me this incredible sense of focused flow and productivity. And I love to take just half a shot right before I work out. I take it with my pre-workout, and it takes my workouts to the next level. It is seriously unlike anything I've ever had. It's also an incredible productivity tool for any big work projects that you have, or long periods of time where you just need to be super focused in flow state and get a lot of shit done. So if you want to give this a shot, you can go to botanictonics.com and use code DRAGON at checkout to get 40% off your first order. No joke. 40% off with code DRAGON. That's feel free from botanictonics.com, code DRAGON. Feel free, feel good. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about real estate. So I am, other than like, you know, some of the like peer-to-peer lending type stuff, like I'm not in real estate, but I've been like thinking about it forever. But like I'm one of those people, like, so I launched the coaching program because like that's fun for me, right? Like it's fun for me to coach people around money and fitness because I'm super passionate about it. And like, you know, maybe even have like you two as guests for like one of our, you know, group coaching calls, because then I get to invite like my friends in and like have them share their expertise and wisdom. But like to me, work real estate just sounds like a ton of work. Like, and like I'm not interested in doing more work unless it's like work that I'm like really passionate about. So for like somebody like me, like would you recommend getting into it to like diversify, or like, or yeah, what's your response
So
to
I'm
that?
curious, what kind of work are you concerned about?
It
Like,
just,
what is your, from an outsider's perspective, what's the kind of
sure,
work you think you're gonna have to do? Yeah.
finding the property, right? Then like doing any like the remodeling that needs to be done, then you know figuring out how to like rent it out. Like I think finding the property, living in the Bay, I'm like, you know, it's not a good place to start your real estate endeavors because it costs so much to get in. So that's the big one, is like actually finding, you know, the place, then, you know, managing kind of any of the remodeling that needs to be done, then like finding the tenants and then managing the tenants. And I realized like I can, you know, pay a property manager for some of that. It just seems like, and again, maybe this is just because I'm uneducated, it seems like this big black box of a bunch of work that I would have to do that I currently don't have to do.
Yeah. And that's a great argument. So I would say, first of all, like we used to live in the Bay Area and we understand how difficult it is to find good investment properties in the Bay Area if you want to buy and hold, simply because you're not going to get as much rent as you have to pay out on a monthly basis for like property taxes and the mortgage and insurance. That's why we actually buy out of state. And we encourage a lot of people who are in our same positions where you have a high paying job in the Bay, buy out of state. Because you can buy homes for $100,000 to $200,000,
Even less sometimes.
even
Yeah.
less sometimes.
Yeah. You know, as long as you have a strong, like, boots on the ground team, it actually can be very passive. Like you mentioned, you know, finding tenants and all those things. Like, property managers do a lot of that. If you vetted the right property management company, then, like, they can make your life so much easier because they can help with repairs, any tenant issues. They can get the new tenants in, make sure they have the right, like, market rents and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
um,
And when it comes to finding your deals too, typically it's not like you personally looking for them. Of course, you can do that if you want to, but it's usually someone, again, on your boots to the ground team there, like an agent or even a property manager who happens to hear of a deal. They'll present it to you. And of course, you do have to do some work. You have to be able to analyze the deal. You have to be able to, sign docs and close. That does take some effort. And, creating that team in the first place, that's the bulk of it. You have to make the calls to find the right people because that's important. So we like it. It's a great way to build wealth. You can use leverage to purchase real estate. The cash flow is amazing as well. And we also get tax benefits from investing in real estate.
Mm-hmm. Now, I believe you both like played in digital products. Maybe you still do. Obviously, you have your real estate course. But, for someone like me who kind of like, I think it's like almost like the physical labor of real estate? It seems like a lot of physical labor, like with all that stuff. Would you suggest like, building digital products might be more up my alley? Because like over time I can do everything, but I can't do everything at the same time. Like right now I'm building a coaching business, which is essentially like it's a digital product. At least that's how I'm thinking of it, because it's all online and it's scalable. It's one to many. Is that a better route for me? Because for me, it's like build the coaching programs, right? And then start to build digital products around the coaching content that I've like basically spent, say like a year or two later, like I have all this content that I've created, then I can package that and like sell that as like, a standalone product. And then as I take like my next class through the next, kind of iteration of the coaching program, I then have another digital product that I can package and sell. And like, it's all kind of related to, I think I'm kind of thinking about like creating more real estate online. Does that make sense?
No, we get it. I mean, we're doing the same thing. So the question to you is, why not both?
Yeah.
Like, we're not physically going to these properties and doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I haven't seen many of the properties we've actually purchased,
mm-hmm.
because we rely on the team to do that. And they do all this work on the background while you are, creating these digital assets.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we do have a course. We are creating more products online for our students and community.
Yeah.
But we're still investing in real estate because all that continues to grow and provides stable cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that's like a downside with like e-commerce or even, digital products is they do have a lifespan.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if your coaching program is still alive 10 years from now, right?
Yeah.
I would be surprised if mine without having to update it 10 years from now.
Oh, 100%. It's going to have to be updated
Whereas
every couple
real
years.
the real estate is like you buy it and your property manager will handle it, and it'll just keep increasing in rents, keep appreciating value.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone needs a place to live. So that's why I feel like real estate is, tried and true method of building wealth. And I feel like you can do both, like Sean mentioned. That's exactly what I was thinking as well, because we're doing both.
Yeah. And you did both while you're both working, right? And you built your personal brand. So it's like totally doable.
The thing is, buying real estate is not time intensive. Creating the team, maybe like 2 weeks worth of really intense work of you calling a lot of property managers and vetting them out. But once you have the team set,
okay,
what else do they do? Sign papers, right?
I think that real estate, the hardest parts are probably more the finance, like getting money, and then also finding the deals. Like those are usually the parts that are more difficult, but you don't even have to know, like we don't know that much about like building homes and all that stuff. It's just a passion of mine, but like, most of it is kind of handled by other people. We still haven't learned that much around that, but that's something we do want because we like it. But yeah, it doesn't require that much work. It's also like the benefit of like appreciation and tax benefits that make it like really interesting as well. So, I bought a home, back in 2013 for $240,000 in California, and then now it's worth like $670,000 or something like that. And like a lot of our, properties have appreciated a lot in value.
I'm thinking about it, she only put 20% down when she bought it too. So she only put what, like 50 grand?
Mm-hmm. So more than that. But like the benefit is also leverage. You can borrow money and not put in the whole purchase price of a home. So there's just like a lot of benefits to real estate that it's like a good idea, in my opinion, to like add it in your portfolio.
So let's talk about your course. Also, go ahead.
For that, I want to also mention that we don't just own real estate, okay? We do also own stocks, right? We do own ETFs and mutual funds,
crypto,
and crypto. We do participate in all these different kinds. I'm just saying that maybe you should diversify a little bit because of the benefits that they give you.
Yeah. I would also say though that not everyone likes real estate, so it's also up to people's personality types. Not trying to tell you what to do, so just like whatever you think is best for you.
So I want to talk about your real estate course. So for somebody like me who's interested, like, would it be good for me to take your course and like maybe start with a property, see how I like it, and if I like it, I can keep going, and if I don't like it, I can like get rid of the property or just like keep it. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say you're probably one of the ideal candidates because you've never purchased a property before.
Yeah.
So the course goes through the entire process because, like you said, it's a black box. It's a lot of moving parts. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So we outline that entire process. And again, because you're also someone from a place where you're making a lot of income, you can then leverage that income to buying it, out of state. So our course is called Remote Rental Riches because we're kind of focusing on, creating that boots on the ground team outside your local area. Because just like us, we weren't buying locally to where we were. We had to create teams away from where we were.
It's one of those things that I actually wish I had back in the day, because I know I bought my first one in 2013, but that was local. And then I wanted to invest out of state, but there was a lot of fear because I'm I don't really know how to invest in a market that I don't really know anything about. I don't right exactly
that's me. I'm super scared. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't want to throw down 50, 100, 200 grand on some place that's physically thousands of miles from me. That just seems super scary.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the course just gives you case studies and homework and what to do for people who just know nothing about it and really want to get started on it. Because I think once you learn the blueprint, you can just replicate that over and over again. So that was my thought when I was going into it. I was even if I lose money, whatever, I just want to learn this blueprint. And everything ended up it was really successful what we've done. So I'm just happy that I got into it because I learned so much from doing it.
So you would save me the learning curve and, at least speed it up for me and potentially help save me from a lot of the mistakes that I could make. Is that what you're saying is possible with remote rental riches? Did I get it right?
You did, yes.
I actually love that. It's so good.
Triple
R. Cool. Well, can we get a discount code for the listeners for that, for anyone else who's interested? I have a lot of friends in the Bay, and I'm sure because of that, a lot of my listeners are in the Bay. So is that something we could create?
Definitely. Yeah. We'd love to offer, your audience 20% off for the first 5 listeners with the code DRAGON.
Code DRAGON. You heard it. Remote Rental Riches, code DRAGON for the first 5 signups. And that will be 20% off. Can I ask what the program costs? Or do you want to
so we made it super affordable. It's only $350 as of today.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be thousands of dollars.
No, we wanted to make it affordable because we're trying to help people to get started.
And we've people in the Bay can afford $350.
When you start getting into real estate, the report for an appraisal is going to be $600,
Yeah.
So you're going to be spending a lot more on the actual real estate.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's awesome. How long have you been running that course?
Since January of last year.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So a year and a half.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you've had time to work out all the kinks and have a super polished product now.
I mean, I think from the get-go, it was really very popular.
Yeah.
And then we just got a lot of great feedback. And then, we have several students who message us thank you. They show us pictures of the houses they bought. So it's really fulfilling.
Yeah. I mean, we spent a year making it and, just making it the perfect product, I think.
We had people test it and all that stuff too. So
I'm laughing. The reason you see me laughing is because you have a marketing expert and an engineer. And it's that's the perfect team to build that kind of product.
She's a visionary.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do ops.
Yeah. That's great. Awesome. So a couple other topics I wanted to cover. Again, I want to highly encourage the audience to check out your Instagram. It's Sharon Seung, spelled Tseung on Instagram. Is the same as TikTok as well for the TikTokers out there?
Yeah, on YouTube, TikTok, everything. Just look up my full name, Sharon Tseung.
Okay, cool. And then it's at Sean Loves Real Estate is his. So definitely check out their content on Instagram or whatever your favorite social media is. I want to talk about a couple of your posts because 2 in particular, or 2 kind of general themes. 1, crypto, and 2, individual stocks. So let's talk about individual stocks. So I'm one of those people who majority of my investments are in broad-based index funds. I just want to set it, forget it, don't want to think about it. Index funds, they're never going to die. But I also love to put some of my money, 5 to 10% of my money, into individual stocks in companies that are I'm super passionate about, really believe in, are fun for me to be a part of. Because I want to have fun with my money. I don't just want to be super boring. So I'm curious, what type of stock investors are you? Or equity investors are you? Do you do index funds? Do you do individual funds? And again, real quick note for the audience, everything we talk about on the show is for entertainment purposes only. We are not legal investment advisors. So like, go see a professional. This is all for entertainment. So back to you guys. Let's talk about stocks.
So I'll go first. I would say, again, these are just what we do. It doesn't necessarily represent what you should do. I think I'm very much like you. Most of my stuff is in index funds.
Yeah.
But then I allocate a small portion to these individual stocks that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I actually read this book back in 2018 by Scott Galloway called The Four. It was talking about like Google, Facebook,
The Four?
Amazon.
Was it? Like the number?
It's called The Four.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't remember the exact ones, but the whole point of the book is to talk about these Benjamin Button companies, where as they grow older, the companies are actually worth more because of the underlying business. And all these companies are using AI to just become better and better companies every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Google naturally should be more valuable tomorrow than it is today.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I started investing heavily in these like tech stocks. As of this recording, of course, everything's getting killed, but over the long period of time, they do pretty well.
Yeah.
So, I invested in Amazon, I invested in Nvidia, and I've held on to it since like 2018.
Yeah.
So they've been doing pretty well for me.
And are you buy and hold with individual stocks, or are you like in and out?
I'm very much a buy and hold guy. Like, I have a very hard time selling things unless I absolutely have to.
Gotcha.
So I usually just don't. So even like with crypto is going down a lot. I've bought a lot of crypto. It's okay because I just keep buying more even during the downturn.
Yeah.
That's just my style.
Yeah, I think we're aligned. Like, we do the same things. I have a lot in like QQQ and a bit in SPY. I think like those ETFs, I have a large portion of my portfolio in. I have some in index funds, and then
Real quick, I just want to pause. Not everyone knows what QQQ and SPY is. Can you just define that for people? Like, people obviously know what Google and Nvidia is. At least if you play video games, you know what Nvidia is. But what is QQQ and SPY?
Yeah, so QQQ tracks the NASDAQ 100. SPY tracks the S&P 500. So it's just kind of like a basket of stocks. So you can invest in that and just like hold it long term. That's kind of what I think all of us are doing, essentially, buying stuff that kind of tracks the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, because going in and out for a lot of things, like doing day trading stuff, it really isn't our style.
Yeah.
It's a lot of extra work that you have to do. You could get subjected to like random downturns and lose everything. You also tax a higher bracket when you do day trading.
Especially if you live in California.
Yeah, so we're just like, all right, let's buy it, and then we don't think about it.
Yeah.
And it's just cool every couple of weeks. You're like, oh, cool, they went up. That's how we do it.
Hey there, just a few words about the incredible show sponsors for today's episode, and then we'll dig right back in. Today's show is brought to you by Fit Rich Vegan. If you're ready to get in the best shape of your life, double your income, and 10x your savings and investments, then this is the coaching program for you. But wait a minute, Dragon. Isn't this your coaching program? Heck yeah, it is. I spent the last 8 years mastering my fitness and my finances, and I've built an incredible coaching program with an incredible team to help you get the body of your dreams and finally achieve that level of financial success that you've been seeking. So if you want to find out if you're a good fit for the program, go to fitrichvegan.com and book your free consultation today. Or you can just DM me on Instagram with the words FitRichVegan, and we can chat about if it's going to be a good fit for you. I'm committed to empowering people to actually achieve their fitness and financial goals. I spent the last 20 years trying to figure this out on my own. And what I realized is the key to doing it is not doing it alone. You have to have coaches, you have to have mentors, and you have to be a part of masterminds. And that's exactly what Fit Rich Vegan has. It has coaches, mentors, and it is a mastermind. So again, if you're ready to book your free consultation today, go to fitrichvegan.com or drop me a DM on Instagram. Yeah, it's like, for me, the individual stocks are almost like entertainment. That could, like, and I'm the same as you. Like, I don't plan on ever selling my individual stocks. Like, I'm okay if they even die. And just to kind of like delineate that out for the audience, the nice thing about an index fund is it's what is called like self-cleansing. So like the S&P 500, if like one of those 500 companies dies, like goes under, like it doesn't become the S&P 499. It actually just the next biggest company goes in there. So it's self-cleansing, whereas an individual company can actually like literally go to zero, and any money you had, if it goes under, any money that you had invested in it would go to zero. That's why for me, it's like no more than like 5 to 10% of my money in individual stocks. And it's not like I have 10% of my money in one stock. It's, 10% in several different individual stocks. So just want to make sure the audience made sense to everybody. And then what percentage of your total portfolio of real estate, crypto, etc., is in crypto and individual stocks and indexed funds versus real estate? Do you mind sharing your portfolio breakdown?
I'm glad you asked this because we just looked at this like last week. Otherwise, we have so many things going on. Sometimes you forget. From what I remember, crypto ended up being less than 1% of our total net worth.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have around 9% in cash right now. And that was because we recently did a big cash out refinance. So we did a big real estate project, and instead of selling it, we did a refinance, we pulled money back out. And we didn't invest it right away because, I saw the markings on the wall. I was like, all right, something's going to happen. So we just held it in cash. Thank God we did, because now we're chilling.
Cash is king.
We don't have to worry about anything. And when there's opportunity, we can go in and just buy something at a very low price.
Yeah, I think we have around 70% in real estate, but I think a lot of it's because it appreciated so much over time. So it sounds like we're not that diversified, but it's like, I think it's mainly because of that appreciation.
Yeah, the appreciation went up, and all of our debt suddenly became a very low percentage of the equity that we owned, So it was like, oh, cool. And it being really high. And then around 19% or so was like stocks.
Yeah.
And ETFs, all combined.
Okay, gotcha. Awesome. So as we start to wind down the show, what are you most excited about right now?
Oh, too many things. She just got laid off, so she's going to have all the time in the world to do all these fancy projects.
Well, you can answer collectively and individually. I'm just curious, like, what are you most excited about right now?
Well, I think like what I mentioned earlier of the different projects that we're excited about, with real estate, hopefully getting into a short-term rental soon. We're kind of watching the market and seeing what happens. We want to make sure that we get not mediocre deals. We want to make sure we get a really good deal, especially with the shifty markets. And then kind of with our personal brand and everything like that, continue to build systems actually. So we're really working on figuring out ways so that we can, create the content in efficiently where we're not like tied to it, where we can't do anything else. So we're like delegating tasks, like hiring that out. So then we have more time for projects like real estate or building another course or whatever. So a lot of these different things are exciting for us, and just the new time and freedom that I have now, it's like I could spend it on music or whatever. So there's a lot, I think, that we could be doing.
Yep.
Awesome. Sean, anything specific for you?
I would say, similar answer to what Sharon said. It's the projects that we had set up. We're really excited to accomplish them. Because like you said, progress is what makes you happy. So and we think, oh my gosh, there's like so many more things we could be doing. It's actually a pretty nice feeling.
Yeah. Awesome. So if I were to ask you for advice for the, I want to say 25 to 40-year-old who's looking to proactively design and truly live a life worth living, what coaching or feedback or sage wisdom would you give them? Maybe they're stuck in a 9-to-5, they have 3 to 4 months of runway, and they're just feeling like super stuck and they don't like to work that much. What would you tell them?
I personally got a lot of value out of going to meetup groups because you get to meet like-minded people and you can understand what they did to escape their situation. It becomes more of like, oh my gosh, this person is real. He's not just some super rich person that I heard on a podcast or read a book about. This is a real person. He's sitting right next to me. I can find out more about that. So that's my take.
I think for me, it's like in that scenario you mentioned, it's like I would possibly think about picking up more part-time positions, like remote positions, looking into passive income side hustles. So that was kind of my journey, right? I I knew I wanted to quit and travel. So I gave myself a 6-month deadline and I booked a one-way ticket. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out. So I ended up taking 2 other part-time remote positions. Like I found it through Craigslist and like referrals and stuff. So I was like just grinding, trying to find other ways to make income. And then looked into building passive income through selling digital products on Etsy, started blogging, started trying to create Kindle books and seeing what that would look like. So just exploring all the different ones and continuously learning. Like I read so many blogs, so many books to build up these, income streams. So just like take action, like study a bunch. You might need to like sacrifice some of your time and like work on building other passive income streams or freelance or whatever to set yourself up in a better situation to grow your wealth. And then I think when you reach that point, like when we started talking about purpose and all of that comes later of like, that's when you kind of ask yourself why you're doing everything. I think that's like the next phase. So I think the first phase is like really the grunt work. You have to work really hard to get yourself to the next level. And then you can think about these bigger questions of why you're doing stuff. And it also gets exponentially easier, I think, when it comes to building your net worth, because you can make that money like work for you, put it back into your business, put it back into your investments. Yeah. So I think I talked about a lot of different things, but
I think that's great advice, because if you're worried about your money, you only have like 3 to 4, months of runway. You have to create space and you have to build a foundation from which you then have the privilege to really like, okay, what do I really want to do? What is my purpose? What is the life that I want to live? Because, that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about money, is because money is just energy. But if you have a bunch of it, you have, a bunch of energy that is like available for you to use to do whatever you want. But if you don't have much of it, you don't have any energy to do anything other than like make that next paycheck and pay those next bills. So I think that was really awesome advice from both of you. So thank you so much. Other than your Instagrams and TikTok at Sharon Seung and Sean Loves Real Estate, any other great places to find you online, or best way to connect with you if the audience wants to?
YouTube. I think we do a lot of our longer form videos there, and they go a little bit more in depth and everything like that. And then also our website. So mine is digitalnomadquest.com. Like the courses are all there too if you guys want it, but also blog posts as well. Your website. So
my YouTube is youtube.com/Sean Pan Invest, and my website is everythingrei.com. So like everythingrealestateinvesting.com.
And also his podcast. He actually interviews a lot of real estate professionals like every single week.
That's where I'm going.
If you want that real estate information.
Yeah. That and remote rental riches is where I'm going. Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for coming on the show. Deeply appreciate it. Looking forward to having you back on maybe a year from now to see like all the incredible, amazing things that Sharon and Sean have done with their life. So big thank you for giving some inspiration to me and the audience. And again, I highly encourage all of you to go check out their content, because it's just so fun and it's such an awesome way to like learn while being entertained. So thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having us on.
Thanks for tuning in. And remember, literally everything can be used as an opportunity to learn, to heal, to grow, and to transform. So whatever is going on in your life, choose to consciously and proactively harness that energy and use it to alchemize your life to the next level. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend or on your favorite social media, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. As always, you can find me at Justin David Carl on Instagram and all the socials, as well as at alchemizelife.com on the web. Until the next time, sending you lots of energy and plenty of dragon magic.